And lastly, I have a lot to say, and so I want to touch on my bases, and so I've written most of these comments down. I hope folks don't mind, but I'm much more articulate when I got something to go off of. So first off, I'd just like to take a moment to thank everyone who came out to this meeting tonight to share their perspectives on this issue. This is probably one of the fuller houses I've seen in my 2.5 years on council. It's top 5, I'd say, maybe even top 3. So I always love seeing people come out and engage. I actually get really depressed when I look out and there's our Parks and Rec director, and she's the only one sitting out here. So I like when we have a lot of participation. It shows people are engaged in the process. So really, truly, I appreciate everyone being here. The range of perspectives we've heard tonight is a testament to the diversity of thoughts and beliefs in our community, and I want to express my appreciation for all y'all's willingness to come out this evening and not only engage in this important dialogue, but also just show up. I know a lot of folks here didn't speak, they just came to show up, and still, I think that deserves recognition. For those of you concerned about the use of dehumanizing language and violent imagery in discussions surrounding reproductive health care, I want you to know that I share your concerns. Referring to people using language like baby killers and baby murderers, or referring to places like Wellspring as cults of death, mutilation factories, or other hyperbolic nouns can have dangerous consequences and can contribute to a culture of violence and intimidation. I imagine the rest of council, including the mayor, I'm guessing Julie, Lauren, and all the staff at Wellspring and other people have all been victim these past couple weeks to harassment and intimidation, both ends of the spectrum. And at the end of the day, we will unfortunately have very little to show for all that unnecessary pain and strife that's been caused in our community. It's important that we recognize the power of our words and the impact they can have on others. Carl Sandburg said, "Be careful with your words. Once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten." As elected officials, it is our responsibility to create a safe and inclusive community where everyone is respected and valued. We must be vigilant in calling out harmful language and actions that seek to marginalize and dehumanize certain groups, because our community is stronger when we come together in support of one another, even when we have differing opinions. We are more alike than we are unalike. I genuinely believe that. I had a very different speech originally prepared for tonight that I had mostly written in the days following the mayor's comments. And I'll admit, the first draft was pretty harsh. I had sent him some texts from our Wyoming Association of Municipalities board retreat in Pinedale the morning after the news stories published his comments, and I told him, quote unquote, "You need to cool it with the abortion stuff." I also told him that you have the right as an American to express your opinion, but you have a responsibility as mayor to set a higher bar for conduct when exercising that right. We hadn't talked in person about it, and I didn't necessarily plan on it before making public comments until my colleague, Councilor Pollack, who's unable to join us this evening, suggested it as a good idea. I knew it was, and I had made excuses to myself about why I didn't have the time to do it. We do all have full-time jobs up here outside of the council chambers, but I respect her opinion greatly, and I knew I had to get together with the mayor before I said my piece here tonight. So Councilor Pollack joined us, and we had a coffee last Friday. Josh at Bourgeois Pig makes the best iced lavender latte in town, by the way, so if you're into that sort of thing, I would check it out. Man, it's seriously amazing. That guy knows how to make a latte. During this coffee, I expressed all of these concerns and more to Mayor Knell. I explained why I thought his rhetoric was dangerous and why our policymaking body should strive to remain as community-oriented as possible, because it is the last bastion of nonpartisan public service that we have left. Our council should stick to the issues that are directly under our purview, and we should, when possible, seek out areas of common interest rather than those of division and disdain. And to his credit, I found Bruce was very receptive to that feedback, as he has been with me and others before on other issues. The non-discrimination ordinance comes to mind, of which he became an ardent supporter. I also felt like he expressed genuine humility, that he had done a lot of self-reflection that past week, and that he had spoken to a lot of people, most importantly his wife, but I think also his children and others, to further inform his opinion on this topic. And regardless of how vehemently I disagreed with his comments, I do have to give credit where it's due, because not many people these days are willing to adjust their opinions when presented with new insight or information. I don't know the mayor that well, but my experience with him, offline primarily, has been that he's a man with a big heart. And my guess is that he has lots of family and friends in his life who would attest to his being a good man. And for the folks that caught our last regular meeting, he was up here bawling all over the proclamation for organ donation awareness. And so I know he has that capacity. And I don't say that as an attempt to embarrass you. I actually really appreciated that sentiment. I bring it up to illustrate the fact that bring up the fact that was made by my good friend Riata sharing her story earlier, that the world is not black and white, and neither are its people. Despite what others have implied this evening, I know you have empathy. So I'm asking for that from you tonight, from you and anyone else in the room who is supportive of your initial comments. Empathy for the women who are burdened with these life-altering decisions. Empathy for the people in the room who have illustrated the nuances surrounding the decisions by telling their stories, and a recognition that words matter. I don't think we will make converts of anyone on the issue of abortion in this room tonight, and I don't think that we should. I don't think that should be our goal. But I do hope the one thing we can all acknowledge before we go home is that even if you still disagree with the concept of abortion in practice, that it's important for all of us, inside this room and out, to establish and stake claim to the idea that we as a community will not endorse or tolerate speech that dehumanizes our neighbors, that sows division when we are trying to reap unity. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools." I don't know about any of you, but I don't fancy being a fool. The mayor has the luxury of speaking after me, so the possibility is still there of me being made out to be one, whether I fancy it or not, but I really am hoping that you meant the things that you said at the coffee shop the other day. And instead of viewing this as a hill that you have to die on, you view it as an opportunity to see the field with another crop. A crop of whose harvest will feed our sense of community rather than poison our public discourse. I want to thank everyone again for coming out and sharing your thoughts this evening, taking the initiative, and having a presence here is more powerful than most of you will probably know. I know that this issue is deeply personal for many of you, and I thank you for the courage and strength to come tell us your stories.